Hello, Ren of Taurus Rising, back with you again for our weekly Wellness with Tarot. And we are continuing our series on the Fool's Journey. And today we land on the Temperance card. So the Fool is going along their journey, and the Fool is now introduced to Temperance. Here we go. There's a lot of imagery here. The really kind of essence of this card is, well, temperance, moderation, knowing that there has to be a balance. Life isn't all or nothing. It also kind of makes me think of like life on life's terms, like it can't be all play, or it cannot be all work, right? There's a fitness person that I like, Betty Rocker, on YouTube, and she says all or something, not all or nothing, which I think is a really useful and practical tool. I teach that to my clients all the time about how, sometimes you can't do it all, but you can do something. It's creating a balanced life, because if you think about sometimes there's a tendency to put things off, like, oh, I'll do that when, I'll do that when, I'll do that when I have time, but there's not always going to be an abundance of extra time to do things that you want to do or that you need to do. So temperance is also about like not kicking the can down the road when maybe there's something you can do now. Maybe you can't fix or solve a huge problem, but you can do something towards it. So it's about being able to do life in a balanced sort of way, managing, accommodating when you need to, compromise, just knowing that life has lots of grays in it. That's what I think that's some of the essence of this card too. It's not just about moderation, like when we think about, like, say, alcohol or substances or those types of things. It's about having discernment and management of resources in your life, resources also being time, your energy, and trying to make life work versus working against it. So life on life's terms is a phrase that I really like a lot, and that's kind of the essence of this card. Life on life's terms. Sometimes you have to have more of this. Sometimes you have to have less of this. But can you overall have an average, a balance? Finding a net balance, if you will. So the question that we asked the tarot is, okay, where do we need temperance? Where do we need the energy or the wisdom of this card in our lives? What area of our lives? What does this card have to teach us? And I have good news for you. I have a different deck that we're using today. I've got some of my decks that I had stashed away and didn't have access to. So I'm going to try a different deck this time. This is the Mystical Moments tarot deck. It's very beautiful, very lots of visuals, very detailed too. Let me take a little sip of water. All right, so we're going to use that deck today. And the Temperance that I showed you, that was from the Radiant Rider Waite deck. All right. This deck has like a nice new smell to it, probably because I haven't used it too much. All right. Where do we need temperance, energy, and wisdom? All right, which is funny because tomorrow is actually Thanksgiving here in the United States, it's funny that we're getting this card because historically, Thanksgiving is a card of, or is a time of overindulging and food, and so it's kind of funny. Universe wink, maybe. Okay, so what card? I am feeling drawn towards this card. All right. Oh, interesting. Another Major Arcana card. This is already a card that we have visited in the Fool's Journey. Looks different this time. The Magician, reversed. So we've already met the Magician in our Fool's Journey. And the Magician is, as I talked about in that video when we focused on the Magician, it's about like sort of the conscious mind, and sort of making things happen in the physical plane, like literally, a magician pulls a rabbit out of a hat or whatever, kind of alchemizing, making things happen, um, sort of in more of the material plane, conscious thought, conscious action. Um, and so that's what we've got here. But it's reversed. This card is different than your traditional magician. It's very lovely here. We've got, I think this is our magician figure, and in like sort of like a magic hat, and it's cool. I'll turn it around just so you can see that it's like a window that looks like, and the magician has their tools, right? But they're different than your typical magician card with the pentacle and the sword and those things. It's a little bit different. There's there's a butterfly. There's a swan. I think we'll say swan, not duck. Um, but essentially, the message is the same. Sort of making things happen out of the material world, like kind of making something from nothing, but in the material plane. And also, that stands out to me about this card is that someone's holding it, and it's like out of nowhere, sort of like there's this sort of hand that which makes me think of like the universe, God, if you will, like the whatever universal good force is kind of making things happen, making the universe go around. Um, so um, and it's reversed, so that means there's sort of like it's more of like a internal thing, um, sort of an internal inventory about what's going on, like a reflection. That's what I gather from this card being reversed. Um, so what this card is meaning, and you may hear Gus snoring over here, is this is a time for reflection, like inner reflection, taking inventory of your life. Like, okay, how is my physical life going? How's my progress? I kind of think of, about like a magician kind of thinking about how they've been doing. Like, how's my work going? Am I getting better at what I'm doing? How am I feeling good about my results? Um, that kind of thing. And in any sort of regardless, you're probably not a magician, but in whatever field you're in, you might take inventory about how you've been doing, how have I been progressing in my sales or whatever. But we ideally are going to do this in every area of your life. Okay, how am I doing with my relationships? How am I doing with how I'm showing up in the world? Sort of like those moments where you wake up out of autopilot, where you really think about your life. That's what the magician reverse card, I think, is asking of us today. It's taking reflection of an inventory around your life, and that could be in terms of your career or your any area of your life, but it's generally, I think it's, how am I doing with my life? Is it aligned for me? Is it authentic for me? um, okay, so that's what I think I'm getting at, is it's not so much what one particular area of your life, but your whole life. Okay, how is this going? Like, um, how is my life? Am I happy with my relationships? Am I happy with the money I'm making? Do I like where I live? Do I like my job? Do I want to keep doing this? Um, we're getting close to the new year, and I think that's the time where a lot of people do, the New Year's resolutions and making shifts and changes. And so the reverse magician is really about taking inventory about, okay, how's my progress in my life, maybe in multiple areas of your life? Am I authentic? Does this feel aligned for me? Am I in alignment with how my physical life is? Like, how are things going for me? And when I say physical, I mean we're in the earth plane. We have to have a job. We have to have, relationships. We have to have things. So that's what I mean. How is my life going right now? Do I like how it's going? Are there some areas that I need to shift? Um, so it's just an overall life review reflection. Okay, and enter the temperance. Perhaps there are areas where there needs to be more balance. Like maybe you're working too much. Maybe you're not working enough, actually. That could be it too. Like maybe you're complacent. Um, in your work or in other areas of your life, maybe you're not really paying attention to your relationships, um, or friendships. Maybe you don't really reach out to people as much. There's some sort of need for balance. There's either too much or too little of something in your life. Of course, this is a collective reading, not an individual reading, so you might be killing it in life, so this may not resonate. But overall, this card, the Magician reverse, is asking for a reflection on how are things going in your material human life, which includes things like relationships, money, jobs, and even like hobbies. Like maybe you're just kind of coasting through life and you're really there's nothing lighting you up. Like things are cool, things are chill, but maybe there's you're lacking that sparkle in your life that maybe you used to have when you had more of an outlet. Um, like even if it's just an outlet just for fun, purely for fun, but you're not doing that, like there's something lacking. So um, the Temperance card is asking for a reflection on what is out of balance. Um, or maybe even where are you maybe not accepting something? Um, or maybe accepting something too much, like just tolerating or putting up with something. So this is kind of a very broad, vague message. But to summarize it one more time, the Magician reversed is asking for you to take inventory about how are things going in your life, in every area of your life, uh, and perhaps there needs to be some sort of balance, um, or awareness about something. All right, and then as I like to do, I'm going to pull the bottom card from the deck. Okay, and what do we got? Oh, very interesting. We have another major arcana card. Um, the Tower. This, I don't think we have landed on this one just yet in our journey. But yeah, we haven't. We have the Tower. Um, that's so interesting. So I'm going to quote To Be Magnetic again because I do that a lot here and also on my Substack. Um, what they talk about is authenticity, and if you're living an inauthentic life because of shame programming, or you're trying to feel validated, or like maybe follow the template of what you think you should be doing, oftentimes you can get into a territory where you're actually not truly being authentic. You're living from a place of like wounding versus actual genuine authenticity. um, and when you do that and you don't wake up to that and you keep on living your life like that, you will slowly start to suffer maybe, and and just your life does loses that sparkle, like I've said before. And the as they say at To Be Magnetic, the universe's only goal is to get you back to your whole worthy authentic self, and it's going to send you some shakeups, some rock bottoms, as they say. And the Tower represents that. The Tower represents shakeups and rock bottoms. Sometimes like maybe you're toughing it out, you're white knuckling it, you're forcing solutions, and it doesn't work, so eventually you rock bottom. I like to believe that too, that the universe wants the best for us, and if we're not getting it, if we're not living up to our potential or living the life that we're really meant to, the universe has to shake stuff up. It has to tower you, or else you're just going to keep on going, and you're going to be stuck in that hamster wheel. It might even be a nice hamster wheel, but it's not your hamster wheel. It's not meant for you, and it's not lighting you up, and it's not truly living. So it's going to send you something to shake things up for you. And that's what the Tower card represents. It represents shakeups. And sometimes you might get a message of like, oh, this, this is going to be a train wreck. I need to jump off first. Sometimes you do that first, but sometimes the universe has to do it for you. And you get a tower moment. This is a really beautiful Tower card. It's different than the traditional card, but um, as you can see, this sort of tower is imploding. But reversed is really more about an internal process, but it could also mean resistance. So this card is about either like some resistance to something that you know you need to change, um, or it could also mean like more of an internal shakeup. It's not so much that maybe you're going to lose your job or something big externally is going to happen. There might be some sort of identity shakeup. So that's kind of two interpretations of an of a reverse tower is sort of an internal shift, but could also mean like resistance to a shift. Kind of like say like when someone knows they have a problem with alcohol or a substance, but they're not ready to admit that they're powerless. That could be an example of like knowing something's wrong, but not ready to admit it and resisting that. So to summarize all three of these cards, we've got the Magician, which is asking for, sorry, Reverse Magician, which is asking for some sort of reflection on how your life is going. Here on this human plane, how is your life going? Um, that could mean, how is your job going? Am I fulfilled? Am I fulfilled in my relationships? Am I fulfilled in my hobbies? Is this really going well for me? Are things in alignment for me authentically? And then the Temperance card, which is our card that we're focusing on today. Um, the energy that this card, where we need that card in our lives, when we take that reflection, is where do we need to have balance? Where is there too much or too little of something? Where is there like zero of something? Where there needs to be like maybe some fun in your life, but there's no fun. So where are things out of, you know, off kilter and need more alignment? Um, and what else does the the tarot have to tell us? Well, if things are not in alignment, if something is off, and maybe there's an imbalance, and you need to either add or subtract something, um, or balance something better. The more you put that off, the more you don't do it. Eventually you're going to have a tower moment, and you're going to have your rock bottom. That could be more of an internal um, emotional breakdown, or internal shift, or that could be something bigger and more external. So don't resist the shift. If you know that something's wrong, this card asks you to like start to make some changes, even if it's small, so that you don't totally like rock bottom. Now, if you totally rock bottom, if you resist, if you're avoidance, if your head's in the sand, that's okay too, because eventually, the universe is going to catch you. I believe that. I believe that the universe is a positive force and wants good things for us. So whether you resist the tower and you have to hit your rock bottom, or whether you try to get out ahead of it and address things, the universe is going to meet you where you need to be. So there we go. That is our reading. It's very interesting today that we have all three, major arcana cards. Obviously, this is our card that we were learning about today, so of course that's a major arcana card. But the other two were major arcana cards too, which is very interesting, especially during the holidays, because things are real during the holidays. There's also a lot of like planetary shifts, Saturn going direct, Mercury going direct, so lots of planetary things going on too, which is also cool. If you are in the US, I do wish you a happy Thanksgiving if you observe that. If not, I hope you have a fantastic day tomorrow, whatever you do. And I will see y'all next week for our weekly Wellness with Tarot.